We're here at the Mackinac Policy Conference with Colonel James Grady II.
That's correct.
The highest ranking police officer in the state of Michigan. How are you this afternoon?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me here with you this morning.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I want to just hop right in. You were appointed as the highest ranking police officer in the state of Michigan by Governor Whitmer a couple years ago, September 2023, I believe. What's the journey been like for you over the last couple years?
So first of all, let me begin with it's been an honor, right? To be the 20th colonel in the history of the state police, an agency that's been in existence for over 100 years. I never saw this coming, but I will tell you it's been great, right? Every day when I think I'm having a challenging day, I always remember that we have great staff here in the MSP, very intelligent, competent, passionate, staff that are working across the state to make sure that we do everything we can to provide excellent public safety services in every city and every county of the state of Michigan. So I always try to keep that in mind while I'm out here working every day.
We were just talking a little bit before hopping on camera just about how many miles you've been putting in on your vehicle. You've been all across the state, not just in the Lower Peninsula, but also making your rounds across the Upper Peninsula too. How have you been navigating that literally and figuratively to be able to get around to make sure that you hit all the posts that the MSP covers?
Absolutely. So it's very important. Shortly after I was appointed as the colonel of the state police, that was one of the first things on my agenda was to ensure that I got out and made contact with not only our enlisted, but our civilian professionals at our crime labs across the state as well. And so I started in the UP. I didn't know much outside of having the opportunity over the years, working at different work sites to work with men and women from the Upper Peninsula and being told about it. Well, finally, I got to see it face to face myself, and what a wonderful experience. People were very nice and polite. It was very rural, a lot of woods, but very scenic, beautiful time of the year. Of course, Lake Superior is beautiful. It seems like it goes on forever, but it was just great to be able to get to the UP. The first post I hit was St. Ignace, and then I worked my way across the rest of the UP and, heard some of their concerns, answered some of those questions, and was able to provide, some of my vision as I got ready to sit in this seat to help lead the department.
As a kid who grew up in Inkster, Michigan, born and raised there, why did you aspire to get into this line of work?
Well, I was always that child that had an interest in this profession. I was that kid watching all of the police shows, the TJ Hooker, Chip, Starsky and Hutch. I'm going back into the 80s now. But, I always had that interest. More than anything, it always seemed like they were solving a crime, helping somebody else that needed it, people that, couldn't protect themselves or defend themselves. And then also having an interest in providing service, right? To me, you have to be a service-minded individual. That means that you're willing to put yourself last to help somebody else that need that assistance. And so I felt like it was a calling for me. I want to say really my first taste of that and feeling that way was when I was with our school safety patrol. And, just that.
Yeah, you're like in elementary school, putting on the orange,
Yes, you had built. Yep. So we had built back then, and it's funny. I even as a child, I found myself making my way through to become the lieutenant and the captain of our school safety patrol.
So you were built for this,
yeah, more or less. Yes. I do feel like it was a calling. This has been a wonderful fit for me, and actually, my first agency I worked with was Wayne County, the sheriff department, and then I got hired in with MSP, and it was the greatest decision that I ever made for my career, and I never looked back. MSP just provided so many options and opportunities for me, and I'll be honest with you, seeing Victor Lattimore and Kelly Goins, who were two troopers from the city of Detroit, walking in my classroom as I was a student at the time at Eastern Michigan in an internship program, and they spoke so highly and then they looked so sharp. I said, that's where I want to go work right there.
And we always got to give a shout out to the Eagles. I'm a fellow Eastern Michigan graduate myself. So
All right.
yeah, the Eagles and Hurons. We don't want to forget about the Hurons.
Yes.
But
Yes.
what does it mean for you to be a black man in this seat? I know it's not. It can be a situation where people try to promote race or make race the issue. But in policing, it's supposed to be apolitical, right?
Right.
But what does it mean for you to sit in this seat as a black man?
But first and foremost, I want to begin with, I think it's important to have representation, in these positions. With that, all of us come from different backgrounds, different environments, different cultures, religions, and everything included. And so I think it's important to have someone sitting in these positions that bring a different perspective. And I think that it's important when you have a table that you have as much representation as you can at that table. It's only going to make your agency better. It's only going to make your service better. So it means a lot to me. And, it's an area right now, I'll be honest with you, I'm not happy about the demographics in our agency. When you look at the state police, we can do better. And so right now I'm doing everything I can, including my staff, to get out there and try to reach men and women or kids of color as well. I'm planting the seeds because this can't be done overnight, right? We went through some challenges over the last several years because of some things that were seen on through the media. And I'm not trying to defend police officers that are doing things that are inappropriate, right? Because that's not what we're here for. We're here to provide service, not to hurt people purposely. That's right. So those that are doing things that are inappropriate, they need to be held accountable for it. But I will tell you and share with you that I believe that the majority of, police officers out there working are doing the right thing for the right reasons every day. And that includes, of course, our state troopers, which I am very grateful for the work that they do every day, because they really are putting their lives on the line. I know it myself because I've experienced that. So I can't say enough of how important it is to have, some diversity within your organization or agency, and that holds true for the MSP as well.
How do you get Black boys and girls to want to become police officers when there are such stigmas in our neighborhood about policing and how police show up for Black people in the cities?
Well, I think, right now we just initiated for this year, 2025, our Troopers on Tour, where it's with the Basketball for the Cop Foundation. And so we are providing a family fun-oriented event. We just did here this last Saturday in Highland Park. So you got to be embedded in the community, right? You can't just talk about it. It's something that you have to be consistent and genuine about. You have to get into every community that you can, whether it's in Inkster or Detroit, it doesn't matter. You need to be everywhere. That includes here in the UPs. We need to be here too. And so I think it's good for, youth of color to see people like myself, to go into those schools and to tell them, hey, I did it, you can do it too, right? I'm an example. I'm from the same community as you. And if I did it, you can do the same thing and have some of the same successes. And just to let you know, I'm here to support you, right? But you have to be engaged. And having those platforms like that creates the opportunity for you to engage with the community.
I wholeheartedly agree. One other thing that I want to touch on also is, your belief in having a diverse set of officers represented across the force has kind of ruffled a few feathers within the force across the state. Why is it, again, so important to you to stand firm in those beliefs, although they might not be shared widely across, other folks within the force?
Well, let me just begin with this. And so when you start when you want to be a candidate to become a state trooper, or if you're looking for promotional opportunities, we have a process in place, right? I follow the process. I make sure to maintain the integrity of that process. And when you go away from that process, that's when you start to create concerns or issues. I feel like anyone that meets the requirement has the right to interview and apply for those promotional opportunities. And if you score out the highest or you do the best in the interview, you'll get the opportunity to serve in that position. And so, I believe that you have to provide equitable opportunities for everybody in the agency. And I'm a firm believer in that. Sometimes, people don't get what they want and they become a little disgruntled. Listen, I've applied for multiple positions for promotional opportunities throughout my career and didn't receive them, right? I went back to the drawing board. I worked on getting better. I reapplied for the next opportunity and I went competed and I was able to move up. And I've done that every time I received a promotion throughout my career.
That reminds me of a phrase that I often like to, just recall back. It says, talent is distributed equally, but opportunity isn't. And so that's one of those things where providing opportunities for candidates who are the most qualified and ensuring that they have access to those opportunities becomes so important.
Absolutely. And we're doing that here, right? As a matter of fact, I actually have some staff with a project manager that we are looking at our promotional process and looking at making some changes to it. Exactly what that looks like, I don't know, but that's why we have a committee, and that committee is diverse, right? When you start talking about age, time in service, gender, everything across the board is represented, on that committee so that we have a much better perspective, right? And we try to cover every angle to figure out the best way to provide those promotional opportunities in the future and make it fair and equitable as possible.
We'll get you out of here on a light note. What have you enjoyed most about Mackinac Island since you've been out here so far?
You know what? It's I enjoyed the scenic view. It's great. Michigan has some wonderful people, some great leaders here in the state of Michigan. I feel that way about Governor Whitmer. I think she's been a great leader for the state of Michigan. She's my boss too. So it's been great to work with her and her staff. It's nice to do. I haven't been here in a long time. I was telling you earlier, since high school, right? And I would tell anyone that lives in the southern half of our great state to make your way up here, right? Come and take a visit here. Go to the UP. I think it's important for our youth, our children, to get as much exposure as they can, right? Because you get educated that way outside of just a book, or someone or something on social media that you see. So the exposure is always great, but it's been wonderful to be here at Mackinac Island. I like to enjoy every opportunity that I can to have the conversations with our leaders here that are on the island during this time, and I'm grateful. So, and thank you for having me on your show this morning. Greatly appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Colonel Grady, and we appreciate your time.
Thank you.